Hi, Tommy Heffernan here, back for episode 4 of What's the Story. We're here in County Laois today, where we're going to meet Bruce Thompson, a dairy farmer, a farmer a lot of people will know for his association with dung beetles. We'll explain more as we go along. We're going to talk about the farm, the production system. We're going to meet Nick, his farm manager, to talk about calf health and calf rearing. We're going to go and look at dung beetles on the farm, look at parasite control, and we're also going to take a look at, I suppose, biodiversity and future farming on this farm and what Bruce thinks what direction the industry should go. A real leader, leading from the ground up. I'm looking forward to chatting with Bruce. Roll it there, Roisin. I said that recently to someone who was about in their 20s and they were looking at me
over the head.
So we'll get certain generation will get rolled there, Roisin. We are here in County Laois with Bruce Thompson for episode 4. Bruce, thank you very much for having us.
Great to have you, Tommy.
Look, we've come to know each other over the years through various things like Nuffield, animal health things. We were both involved, and I've been on the farm. A lot of people know you from for a number of reasons. Your work you've done on parasites. We might talk about that later on. Dung beetles and Bruce Thompson, they're one and the same thing.
Basically known for rooting on the cow shit.
Yeah. I suppose a bit of background for people, Bruce. Who are you and where are we?
Yeah, look, dairy farmer, obviously, County Laois, and farming now 20-something years.
Okay.
Yeah, came home with the intention of staying here for a year and continuing on with my engineering career. But got looked into the dairy and then got a bite of it and haven't let go.
So you went off to do engineering. So when you were younger, was the plan, was it kind of maybe you never had the intention of coming back farming? It's only when you actually started doing it, you said, right, there's something here. Yeah,
well, look, I suppose if you go back like secondary school and when I was that age, there wasn't great incentives to get into dairying.
Okay.
There wasn't great scope in it either. So, you know, we were in a quota era.
Yeah.
And it wasn't very exciting.
Okay.
And no scope to expand your business and to try and earn a living out of dairy.
A good living.
A good living,
yeah.
It was quite difficult because you were looking at what would be now seen as small holdings, where there was one person married to the farm. And wouldn't be able to marry anyone else. Not that was on the radar at the time. So I suppose, look, Dad kind of was giving up dairying here because he got caught with tuberculosis on the farm back 24 or 5 years ago. And I said, look, I'll come home for a year and try give him a bit of a boost and get going again.
Was this straight after college?
Straight after college, yeah. And never got to actually implement my education.
Well, I know from being around the farm here that you have, if out there's you have your own way of putting minerals into the feed. You have applied your engineering around the farm. Like there's bits and pieces I see here that I wouldn't typically maybe see in other farms. So you have implemented engineering. Your skills
in a roundabout way.
So it wasn't wasted.
No, it certainly wasn't. No. So at the same time there, Chagas were doing a 180-hour. I call it the little version of the green cert.
Okay, nothing against little.
But that's gone now. But it was
Chagas, but anyway.
That's gone in. That got me through into agriculture at the time.
And that's you got the bug. And it's fair to say you've been a leader in I think you've been a leader in the space of dairy farming and what you're doing here. I've got to know you through maybe it's just working with you over the years. But tell people a little bit about the production system here and where you're at now, cow numbers wise and kind of the system you have.
Yeah, well, spring calving, grass-based system. I'd like to say low cost, but
nobody's low cost anymore.
No, that doesn't matter now. That's all behind us. So it's we focus on the main KPIs, which are 6-week calving rates and utilise grassland and conversion of milk solids from grass from a lighter type of a cow.
Okay.
So that's the stuff we're looking at. We were milking when I came home. There was, I was saying with the TB that we had 54 cows, 48 of them went with TB.
Okay.
up to today, last year we had just over 300 cows. This year we're down to 270 with nitrates and a few other things we need to get our house in order with.
Okay, so are you at the kind of a number now where you're comfortable? You think that's what the farms is at?
Yeah, we can get it back up to 300. We just need to dot a few I's and cross a few T's first. But yeah, look, I would be comfortable with that. We have a few maybe bits of infrastructure to sort out on the farm as well to be able to do that. But yeah, look, I've finished expanding now.
Okay.
I've said that now a few times, but
you have a good team here. We're going to meet Nick, the farm manager, here next after this to talk about calves. But you have a good team. We came in, myself and Mike behind the camera. The walkie-talkies are out. There's a great morale around the place. And this is a new addition since I've been here last. You've branded the farm.
Oh, branded the farm, yeah. Camclown Dairy Limited.
Camclown Dairy Limited. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. Super cow. Yeah.
Why is that? Why was that important to you?
Look, the community don't really see what's going on outside of what they see on the road. So we wanted to maybe integrate our farm a little bit into the community, let them know what's happening on the farm. So to see the logo, it's up on the gate.
Yeah, I see that, yeah.
And they associate then that super cow with this farm.
Why super cow?
Because our cows are bloody super.
Okay, okay. Yeah. And I don't believe that, but yeah.
It's just catchy.
Yeah.
And look, we put the crest then onto some kids' GAA jerseys.
Very good.
And put a few quid into a playground down below here as well.
Right. So that's a very unusual move for a farm to make, Bruce.
It's the other dairy farms that are giving money to recruitment agencies.
Okay.
But I said I'd give it to the community and let the recruitment happen that way.
Okay, because you have I know, so just talk about the farm team before we go meet Nick.
Yeah.
It's very much a local team here, isn't it?
It is, yeah, it is. We have, Nick's, he's with me 7 years, I think now, 7 or 8. I should know the answer to that. He works 5 days a week.
Yeah. And
we've David then, he's working with us every second week for 4.5 days. And student there, we get a student every spring.
Okay.
And a couple of relief milkers then, in and out, yeah.
So again, it's a larger dairy business, a lot of people working, a lot of moving parts. How important is team, rota, to Camclown Dairy?
Yeah, I know you could work it with less people, with more hours, but that's not what I would like around the place. I like people to look forward to coming into work and looking forward to going home again. But communication then is key to that, because there's a lot of stuff happening with different people. So we use different devices, like we have a roster there on a shared calendar that gives us to-do lists.
Do you meet once a week to set that out then?
We have a meeting once every 2 weeks. Okay. And we have we work Kanban boards, which is on an app. Yeah. Then that we use that then for feeding rates and all that stuff. If there's a calf off form, someone will put it up on it. So there's good consistency there to the work on the farm. And then of course the famous WhatsApp group. Everyone needs a WhatsApp group.
Yeah. Who doesn't have enough WhatsApp groups in their life?
The stuff going back and forth in that mightn't be exactly business related either.
But I do feel that you disseminate responsibility, even though you're the owner or the boss, whatever you want to call it. But there's an equal partnership here with the team, that everyone is bought into the progress of the farm, where you're going. Would I be right in saying that?
Yeah. Well, that's what we do at the team meetings. People bring in, what went well, what didn't go well, how can we change it, and we take note of all this stuff. And if there's something they can do on the farm to, of a reoccurring problem that's coming back, feedback like that, change something on the farm to make it more attractive to work in.
That's funny, because it's not funny, it's actually brilliant to see. It's something I've seen maybe time and time again in Irish dairy farms, that where there's a real emphasis on team, leadership, business. Things maybe people wouldn't traditionally associate with farms. Maybe something, and the last episode I was joking with a vet about their approach to their veterinary practice, and it being Google-esque in the sense that, this is the kind of terminology you'd expect maybe from larger businesses. But I think it just shows me where maybe Irish farms have come to and are at a point where they're integrating that type of thinking into their everyday business.
Yeah, well, when I came home first, it was myself and Dad, and we're shouting at each other, nearly throwing things at each other, you know, and that's normal. You sit down and have a cup of tea afterwards. Doesn't work that well with employees, though. I found
Throwing things at each other.
Yeah, it's not worth the paperwork. But look, I suppose I read a book.
Yeah, that's okay. That's good.
Yeah. I know. I've done a bit of research into people management and that sort of thing. So I just, you know, creating ownership for decisions is more important than actually making decisions for people. At least, you know, someone has the appreciation that what they're doing and the decisions that they're making have an outcome, positive outcome for the farm, then and get, you know, accredited for it, then it's much better than just telling someone move that to there, move this to here, which is very top-down kind of leadership.
It's brilliant stuff. And I mean, when I come back to that leadership piece again, and I know we're going to go out, we're going to talk about parasite control. We're going to look and shit and look at. We're going to have a look at talk about the dung beetle as well, because there's no better person to understand that parasite control. But I'm going to go here now and have a chat with Nick and talk about calf rearing.
Perfect.
Super. So we're on our way to Nick, right? And you said your engineering background, and you said, oh, you happened to mention, Bruce, your new calf feeding system. Yeah. And I thought you were going to pick out a branded feeding system, but no, this is the Bruce Thompson.
It is branded. Yeah.
it is the Camptoon Dairy Limited feeding system. Yeah. Tell people what we're looking at here, Bruce. We're going looking at calves, but this is how you feed dairy calves here on the farm.
Yeah, this is a 500-litre tank.
Okay.
And on top of it, there's a thermostatic filling valve, which is set at 39 degrees.
Okay.
You open a big valve and it fills up.
Yeah.
Throw in your milk powder. There's a mixer that I got out of Woody's.
Okay.
Plaster mixer fitted into it.
Okay.
That whisks it up in I'd say in under a minute. It has the thing mixed.
So this mixes all your milk here.
All the milk, yeah. And
and you fill it from up.
And of course, we put our microbes in at that point.
Oh, very good. Yeah. I didn't pay him to say that. No, no. But so this is homemade.
Homemade, yeah.
Right. So what was the notion? Like, what, in the name of God, get someone to think, right, I'm going to design my own calf feeding system here?
Well, we had a computerized system, which we took out. We decided to make everything big and simple.
Okay.
Yeah. Bit like myself. Not that big.
Small and simple.
Yeah, small and simple. Yeah, thanks, Tommy, for the correction. But you know, big pipes, big tanks.
Okay.
Big
no chance of things breaking.
No chance of things breaking. Baler twine, screws, bolts, all that sort of stuff. Just make it big and simple.
Okay.
And then there's a 63mm pipe there that goes out the wall and sends the milk out to the calf feeder, which we trail around with an 80-point calf feeder.
So you have the 80-point trailer and you're just in and calves around.
Yeah. All done in a few minutes.
So the engineering wasn't wasted after all. Where does the pipe go then?
There, that's it at the wall.
Oh, you feed it here?
Yeah, so we bring the trail feeder.
Okay.
Because the calves are out in the field.
So the trail feeder comes down here then?
You drop that.
And this is the end result?
Yeah, that drops it in.
So fills it in a minute?
Yeah.
Every morning you fill up your tank?
Yeah.
Very interesting. We're here with Nick now. We're after being down with Bruce, seeing his engineering skills in the calf feeder. Nick, thank you very much for coming onto the camera here this morning with us. Can you tell people a little bit about yourself? Who are you and what's your role in the farm here in Campcloon Dairy Limited?
Yeah, well, I'm here with Bruce and Ian and the team here the last 7 years or more now. Yeah. So part of the furniture, I suppose, at this stage.
A massive, like you're farm manager here and you're a massive addition to the team. I've got to know you as well. Very passionate about dairy farming. You're going to talk to me, Nick, a little bit about, I suppose, look, people will notice these are the three stragglers. We're at the end of calving here. Yeah. What we've done with a lot of customers is we've talked about specific calf rearing things that you do. Maybe there's some tips people can pick up along the way here. Calving area, loose straw bedding?
Yeah, loose straw bedding, whatever we could fit, maybe 15 to 20 cows here.
Okay.
And then as cordon as the calf, you come in, snatch the calf, go out the door here with the twin wheel wheelbarrow and we weigh the calves.
We'll go in here and have a look at what you do. So we'll go through the actual. So cow calves, she's calf snatched, and you're in here then.
Yeah, we've weighing scales here.
Okay, so this is typical. There's a lot of engineering going on in this farm. Right, so this is preset weight on this, right?
Yeah.
So you go up. Well, Bruce he's ready to come in with the wheelbarrow. This is anything can happen in this kind of what's the story, right? So the 18-year-old sheepdog is going to be our calf. So you talk us through what's happening. So the calf is in the wheelbarrow.
Calf's in the wheelbarrow. Bring it in, and we put it up on the scales.
Yeah.
Then we know before we have the scales on and all that it's 32.5 kilos to barrow.
Okay.
So take that off the calf.
Every calf is weighed.
Yeah, every calf.
Okay.
Yeah, so easy to do, and that's there. You have it done in 2 minutes.
Okay.
And then we've all our tags here and our iodine, the whole lot. Then
so the calf gets its sort of critical care here, iodine. Yeah. When does it get the bee stings and colostrum?
Actually in here as well. So before we go for the calf, we have the...
Unless your radio attendant. Lunch tea is ready, go on, sorry.
We have a tank outside there with hot water.
Okay.
Bring it in here. We do the colostrum first before going for the calves.
Okay.
Once that's hot, then feed the calf here to...
Is the cow, have you stored colostrum, sorry Nick, or do you actually have, the calf gets the cow's colostrum?
No, we store colostrum here in the fridge here beside us.
So you're the second fridge we have, you've an American fridge here, and that's where your bag colostrum is.
We keep it in the bottles then. And
okay.
So 1 day and 2 days, so it keeps alternating what we have.
Do you mark it or anything like that?
Yeah, mark it to what then bricks tested is.
All right, so it's all bricks tested. And what does the calf get? What 3 litres?
10% of its body weight. So we can tell straight off if it's over the 30 kilos, you can go more than it's 10% or whatever.
Oh, so you're actually going by body weight specifically with the colostrum?
Yeah.
There's not an old standard 3 litres per every calf?
No.
You're actually going for the 10% body weight?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. What's your calves averaging, about 30 kilos?
No, actually this year we probably went 35, I'd say, on average. I'd say.
So they're getting 3.5 litres by stomach tube?
Yeah.
Or bottle?
The stomach tube in through the bottle, say, with the long pipe on it.
Okay. So calf is done here. Our calf is very quiet here.
Very quiet.
So where does the calf? We'll go over and talk a little bit about calf rearing then, and maybe challenges you've seen. The calf house is over this direction.
Calf house is out here. Yeah.
Right. Will you leave the dog there?
Yeah. He'll jump out and say himself.
That's a great system, isn't it? So we actually, Nick, when we were down in the dairy parlour, we saw your new device for mixing milk, and you have a big cart, basically an 80-point cart for feeding calves. Talk to me a little bit about calf rearing here in the sheds. What are some of the challenges you're seeing? What are some of the things you're focused on?
Yeah, so literally when we bring the calf over here, we use the small gates and put 3 calves into each pen.
Okay.
It's freshly bedded and fresh lime on it every time we're changing calves, the whole lot.
Okay.
Then it's cleared out and limed again.
Okay.
And then as cordon, as they're hitting maybe 3-4 days old, we bring them across to Richards where we've other sheds.
Okay.
And set them out to their different pens then for heifers.
Are they on transition milk in here then?
Transition milk.
All transition milk for 3 or 4 days?
Yeah.
When they're settled in, they go on to the the powdered in and a big feeder. Basically, Bowser drive in, calves around it. Any issues getting on 80 calves onto a big Bowser or?
No. It's grand, it's straightforward enough. Now we use the 10 teats feeders for a couple of weeks to get them going and then
to the Bowser.
Yeah.
What have you learned about calf rearing? What are some of the challenges you see? What are I'm going to ask you about your experience with microbes, but what are the things that maybe traditionally you've seen that you're not seeing anymore, you've improved on, or if you were to think your top 2 or 3 things for calves, what are they to rear healthy calves?
Well, to go in, obviously to feed the microbes we find a huge benefit, but then we also go with Tolercol and Nasum then at 6 days of age.
Okay.
And then we'll also keep fresh straw and plenty of straw.
Okay.
Don't spare the straws.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good attitude. So an old vet that I work with said to me a long time ago when I qualified, he said straw solves a lot of problems.
It does,
yeah. So plenty straw. What kind of level of milk feeding are you with the calves? How much milk are they getting?
2.5 litres morning and evening then.
Okay. So no real issues then with calves per se at all?
No, we actually had a great season this season.
Okay.
No problems probably until the last couple of weeks there.
Okay.
Few bits and pieces creeped in then, but
You have some. Bruce said to me, you had some comparisons with the Precision Microbes. You use microbes on heifers and on the heifers, not on the bulls. What did you see from a I suppose a practical point of view? What were the differences? Were they positive or negative? As I cross my finger.
Positive, no, yeah, yeah. We'd no actually bloat or anything with calves.
Okay.
There was a better shine off the heifers we found too. I think we had a couple of cases with bloat with the bulls, but none with the heifers as such.
So you've been happy with the microbes,
Yeah.
easy to feed and very good.
Yeah.
So talk to me then, and we're going to go and talk about parasites next. When do the calves actually go out here? When do you try and get them out from the sheds? When are they weaned outside?
They are weaned outside generally now. This year was an exception. But
Okay, but did you manage to still get them out?
no, we're only out there the last maybe week or so.
Okay.
But probably generally we'd have them out last year. We'd them out in February at about 3 or 4 weeks of age.
Okay.
So it just depends on your year to get them out.
Nick, as a farm manager, I just want to ask you this question. You've got your. We were talking to Bruce about team. How important is it to work on a farm like this, where the environment is that I suppose there's a real team spirit here. Everyone's opinion is valued. That's huge, isn't it?
It is. It's a big thing. Like, and when everyone can have their crack and the whole lot and still be serious,
Yeah.
and they know the job has to be done, that's a huge thing. Like,
Yeah, it's a great working environment. You're doing a great job. You have a great attitude. So thank you very much for talking through calf rearing and giving me some positive feedback on microbes. That could have gone very badly if you did negative, but I would have cut it out anyway.
Yeah.
Thanks very much,
Perfect.
Nick.
No hassle, Tom.
Cheers. Well, I actually wouldn't mind driving it. What's this baby, Bruce?
It's a Suzuki Jimny. It's got 14.
These are kind of iconic.
Yeah.
This shit is iconic, huh?
It's a pregnant roller skate.
Right. What engine's on it?
It's a 1.4 litre
Right.
raw power.
So how spread out is your farm now? It's all pretty local, is it not?
It's all fairly local, yeah. The furthest bit, we have an outblock, it's about 3 miles from here.
Okay.
The heifers are on that currently.
Okay.
We have a couple of other outblocks then. And at my neighbour's farm across the road. Yeah, so when the calves go out, we bring them out to the piece of land up here that a neighbour of mine has got it off him for the year. He's actually going planting it.
Okay.
He's waiting on a licence.
Availability for land here, what's it like for you?
It's okay. Yeah, there's not great competition around this area. It's not dairy area really.
Okay, can I ask you a question, right? Something I've observed, whether I'm right or wrong. Maybe the quota of the future, because people talk about cow numbers, water quality, all the different things for quotas. Is the quota going to be people? Is the quota going to be actually, because farming is not easy, as optimistic as you are, as much as you enjoy it, progressive as you are, it's not easy. Is the quota going to be actual people farming?
It probably is. It was. I heard it been mentioned last year that the new quota was people, was labour, is what they were saying.
Yeah, which is people essentially.
Yeah. So yeah, look, and I don't think it's necessarily going to be people on the ground doing the hard work. Like, succession is going to be a big issue, I think.
Okay.
Like, I think our milk pool is, it's under big threat. I think that we have
which is counter to what people think.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. Like, it has. I know there has been a reduction this year due to weather, but like, I wonder what percentage of that is due to weather.
Yeah.
Cow numbers have dropped back. People are under serious pressure the last 12 months in terms of getting stuff done. When things go well on a dairy farm, they're going very well, but when they go wrong, they go very wrong, particularly when you have a lot of numbers. So if you haven't got the help there to get you through that, the easiest way to manage it is to cut back on the numbers.
Maybe it's idealistic, and it is probably idealistic, to look at, creating this idea where farming is, so much more than just a bit of a slog at times, but actually that idea that you're farming with nature, producing a high quality product, is that just overly idealistic?
Say that again?
So if we look at the future of farming as, now you're testing out the Suzuki here.
Yeah, forward drive is actually broken on it. Yeah.
Oh, is it? Which is good. Mike has a bit of weight in the back to keep us down.
Thanks, that's where we brought it. Yeah.
So is it a bit idealistic to think that we can create this image of farming where you're really, the future of food production, this idea that you're farming with nature. Is it like are we getting it wrong? That is this efficiency thing, this kind of slog. Is there a better way of framing farming for young people coming into it for the future?
Well, there has to be a balance. So you have to run your farm. It is a business, so it has to be run like a business.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, we have something very unique in this country in terms of the product, and after travelling a good bit with Nuffield, you realise just how good we have it here. And the product, it's not being cynical, it is a bloody good product.
Yeah.
And it's a bloody good story.
Yeah.
And it's a bloody good country to be a cow in.
Yeah.
As you said yourself. But there's no better country in the world. But yeah, look, we just need to be very careful not to run down a route of polarising ourselves, that it's all about efficiency. It's about costs at all cost. We have to think about what's important. So our image is definitely very important, and our end product, that's what's selling on the global market, and that's what makes us different from other parts of the world. There's no other place where you'll be crossing cows across the road at 6 o'clock in the morning, talking about the hurling meeting that was on the night before to one of your neighbours. That doesn't happen anywhere else.
Yeah, and long way it lasts.
Yeah.
We're here now, and I think if you go into a typical probably farm with calves at this time of year, you're not going to see this, okay? I don't think you're going to see this layout, are you?
No.
Okay, right. So give people a bit of background. We know each other, I suppose, from working together, but also we both did Nuffield. We're looking to do Nuffield farming scholarships. You did Nuffield back in...
I was at 2021, so it's hard to know exactly when I'd done it.
Okay.
Because of COVID.
The big C.
It was a reverse Nuffield I did.
But you did it on sort of sustainable parasite management and control.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was my initial focus, and went down the rabbit hole of dung beetles and how they affect biodiversity.
Okay.
So really at the end of the day, it was looking at how our parasite management has an effect on biodiversity and vice versa.
Okay, just to blow a bit of smoke, right? I have been involved in parasites. Yeah, I've been involved in parasites and parasite control for a long time, and would see myself as a little bit of an influencer, KOL, key opinion leader, and all that jazz. But I've never seen anything quite like where you're going to meetings. You talk about parasites to farmers, and they were referencing, the lad in Laois, or is it the Bruce lad, dung beetles. Yeah. You kind of brought this awareness. Out there. To be fair to you,
it's timing. Yeah, it's all about timing, because the COVID actually played into that a bit as well.
Yeah.
People had more time to start looking at cow shit, for one.
But they were open, because I think you're underestimating, because I have an interest in leadership. I think you're underestimating the impact of leadership from the ground up.
Yeah.
I think you're underestimating for the impact of a farmer doing something on his farm himself. Instead of someone like Tommy Heffernan on his light board or his white board, or someone from Chagas, but someone from Chagas, no disrespect to either myself or Chagas, being there as talking about things, doing it makes a huge difference. So this is doing it. This is sustainable parasite control in first grazers, isn't it?
It is, yeah. This is where it starts.
Okay, so talk to me about what's happening here.
Okay.
Mike, if you pan out here, you'll probably see the calves here as well. I know you'll probably get other shots, but this is a very different layout of a field, I would say, to most fields. And even, is this electric, is it?
It is. Yeah. No, it's not. No.
For the second time. So talk to me about what's happening, Bruce, here.
I'm training the calves,
okay,
basically, in two ways. One is with the electric fence.
Yeah.
And the other one is in terms of triggering their own immune system.
Okay.
For parasites.
Okay.
Because what generally happens on a dairy farm or any farm is that they release calves out into the training paddock.
Yeah.
And if it's dedicated training paddock that is rotten with parasites.
So in the same nursing paddock, close to the field,
close to the house. Yeah, it's nice and handy. Shed, troughs in the corner. It's down that height and it's well fenced.
Okay.
Yeah. But that's the first mistake, because the calves are going out and they're getting overexposed to parasites.
Okay.
What happens then is they need to be wormed.
Yeah.
So we start worming the animals, which has worked fine for 3 generations. The problem now is the parasites we're dealing with are becoming resistant to these wormers. So every time...
And we don't have new wormers coming.
We don't have new wormers. There's no one developing new wormers. They're not there. So what we have now is what we have.
Okay.
And a lot of farms unknowingly I would probably say the majority of farms in this country have resistance to products.
Okay. When you say resistance, the products they're using are not killing. The worms are smart.
Correct. Well, what happens
From an evolutionary terms, worms have been around longer than probably...
Actually, do you know, I was reading up about it. Worms actually, they initially came from snails that were ingested by dinosaurs.
Right.
And they survived.
Okay, this is factual stuff now.
It is factual stuff. This is not, yeah, you can Google this, yeah. They survived inside the intestines and the guts of the dinosaurs.
Okay.
A certain percent were able to live there and use them as a host.
Okay.
So that's where they actually developed.
So they're around a long time.
They're around a long time. We're only a pothole on the road of evolution.
So they're not going to give up the ghost too easily.
Not. So every time we worm them, we'll kill. The thought is that we kill at least 95% of them. When we do that, we have a product, an event that has actually worked. When that drops to 90%, it doesn't go back up to 95 the next time. It stays dropping down each time. Okay. So what we're left with behind, that 15% or whatever we're leaving behind, is resistant to the product we used. And that is a genetic trait that those parasites have. So they go out on the pasture, they're as eggs, and they're ingested back up again by the calves. Yeah. And they mate with other parasites and create a
whole new population.
A whole new population of resistant parasites.
So
they're back out on the pasture, and that infects the whole herd.
So you're trying to negate that here by what?
By not worming.
Okay.
And now, like I said to you earlier, it's important we make profit here, so we're not smoking rollies and playing the banjo here.
Not on camera, anyway.
Not on the camera. This is a real farm. Did you leave them in the chimney?
There's nothing been edited out here, by the way. Go on. So go on. Right. So you want performance, you want health, you want average daily gain, you want growth, all that sort of nice stuff, right?
Nick showed you. We weigh the calves.
Yeah.
The lads here are tormented weighing.
Okay.
It's one of the most important tools in our farm, I would consider, is our weighing scales.
Wow.
Calves are weighed. They're weaned then about 2.7 times their birth weight.
Okay.
What we're doing here is triggering.
He said it was 2 times their birth weight until they started microbes. It's gone to 2.7. Sorry.
2.7, yeah.
Go on, Bruce. Yeah.
So, there's 2 types of resistance.
Yeah.
Resistance to parasites.
Okay.
They have innate and adaptive. Innate is what they're genetically capable of resisting. Okay. And the adaptive is the one that they will create themselves. Okay. So bovines are really good at creating resistance to parasites. Or resistance to anything. They have a really good immune system. Okay. So you take your vaccine, smallpox vaccine, the first vaccine, we use cows to develop that. Yeah. And the word vaccine comes from the Latin word for cow, which is vacca. So we're coining in on that here. Okay. Their adaptive resistance. Okay. So when they see a parasite, they come in contact with a parasite, they build up this immunity to it.
But you're managing the load.
Yeah.
So you're managing the parasite.
Managing the load.
So
if you throw it at them, you'll overwhelm them, they get sick, they need to be wormed. Okay. And I'm not one for not worming animals. Yeah. If they need to be wormed, they're wormed. But it's reducing that risk. So what we work is, we call it traffic light grazing. Okay. So
have you developed this yourself?
Yeah. It's where you look at the pasture and they're ranked on terms of parasite loading.
So you measure that on calves. So like you'll take dung samples.
Dung samples, these are samples. If it's 0, we will mark that paddock, actually we'll mark it orange. Yeah. Because these are first grazers. Yeah. The calves are no resistance, so they're not reducing the amount of eggs that parasites can actually produce within their gut. Okay. So we'll mark the orange behind the calves. Okay. So they won't, for the first half of the season, they won't come back onto an orange paddock. Okay. Now, it's a brilliant system, right? Yeah. And it's thought out. But somebody's sitting there. Yeah, and they're going over their head. No, it's not going over their head. Yeah. You know, God, you're complicating life for us. Remember the good old days? Yeah, good old days.
You put them out and you give them a shot of ivermectin and you're off you go.
Job done, yeah.
Yeah, so how important is it people listen to this?
Well,
because I'm seeing, to put it in perspective, what I see in farm is where you've multi-resistant and you're at the end stage and people say, well, I can't go backwards. Yeah. We all want an easy life, right? I love an easy life. Yeah. But this is is more complex.
It is.
So as farming is getting more complex, but how important is the embracing of the complexity of this and the understanding of what we're doing here from a future perspective?
From what I can see, the best solutions to anything are nearly always complicated.
Okay.
In their offset, but it's probably the complexity of it is probably just changing the way we're thinking.
Okay.
The end result is our cows, with one exception, I would say, we haven't wormed them since 2017.
Okay, and that's quite significant.
It is, and it's,
because
they're on proper grazing system. We're not doing any of this with the cows. Cows are 1,400 covers.
Because they've got the immunity, and you can go back to your traditional system.
Correct.
And just to put in perspective, I've talked to a farmer last year who dosed his cows 4 times.
4 times
in the season.
What was it? Was it lungworm?
Lungworm, and it was the big challenge. Now, look, that's the extreme. It's not unusual. So that's the pay it forward of this type of approach.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're measuring your paddocks, their colour, traffic
light grazing.
Traffic light grazing.
Yeah.
Quite extensive fencing.
Yeah, yeah.
Measuring fecal egg counts yourself on farm.
I have been.
Okay.
Yeah, but I the last 2 years with discussion groups, we've been doing a deal with labs.
Okay, so it's something you've outsourced the work, and you're happy with that.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, doing the fecal egg counts in the canteen probably wasn't the best idea.
Immunity, a whole different immunity story.
Yeah, labelling's very important anyway, in hindsight. Yeah, it was not beef stew. Yeah. Anyway.
So traffic light grazing, measuring, managing, and this is leadership again. Is it something your discussion group members have adopted as well? People are following it.
Some of them have, yeah. Some of them find this a little bit overcomplicated.
Okay.
And look, I understand that. I get that. But I suppose the first, you can take it to whatever extreme you want. So the first step is fecal egg counting.
Yeah.
And figuring out, do you actually need to worm the calves? Because there's an awful lot of that going on where the calves don't even have parasites and they're being wormed.
Okay.
And what species you're dealing with as well, what species of parasite. Because now at this point, we really shouldn't be having any trouble with Ostertagia, which is our famous stomach worm. And if you see calves scouring, we tend to blame summer scour syndrome.
Yeah.
It could be coccidia.
Okay.
I've seen that a couple of times where coccidia, a simple dose of tolricol earlier on, and figuring out where
so you're putting science to metrics.
Putting science to metrics, yeah.
I'm just noticing, as you speak in the background, if we stay silent for a second, there's a lot of background noise. I don't know if the camera can pick up the sound. We think about biodiversity.
Yeah.
The two can coexist. Just we talked about earlier on. There's a very, very, apart from the Suzuki back behind us, there's a very vibrant hum of birds and nature around the farm, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. Yeah.
It's just nice to hear.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a side fact. Before we leave the calves, is there anything else you want to say to the calves? I want to talk dung beetles to you because you've become known as one of the things you've been known as, right? To find a man. No, I'll take that mantle. Is there anything else on the calves from a practical perspective here? The covers are higher as well. That's something that I think that a lot of farms could probably learn from.
Yeah, well, you can see there was their last grazing.
Yeah.
The parasites are in the bottom of the sward.
Yeah.
And they come up about 6 centimetres into it.
Okay.
And the vast majority of them are there. So we don't let them graze down paddocks, and we come into higher covers. And you can see this is not ideal type of grass.
Yeah.
I was explaining to you, this is kind of this grass will actually be a forestry maybe, and it's a neighbour.
Okay, so it's an unusual paddock, yeah.
But it's ideal for calves. It's a bit stemmier.
Yeah.
Calves' rumen's not fully developed yet, so they need that type of grass.
And they do better.
3 days allocation, moved again. This netting is electrified.
Yeah.
That once they get up to that hedgerow up there, the hoping is that they'll be trained onto white tape so that we're away from this.
Which is more labour intensive.
It is more labour intensive.
Yeah.
So we'll be onto strip tape then with them calves. Moved them, growed in 3 days. Growed in 3 weeks and eaten in 3 days was an old rule.
Yeah, and you're going back to that.
We're kind of going back to that.
It's interesting the way some people are going back. Can you have we got an opportunity to look at dung beetles at some stage?
Yeah, not here won't be a good spot, but we can have them up near the yard. There's a spot I actually pulled out about 30 about one dung pat there last week.
Okay, right.
Yeah. My wife was disgusted.
Right, we'll go and talk dung beetles. We were heading out to look at talk about calves, and we're talking about parasite control and Bruce's work with I was going to say with microbes with dung beetles, but I think you wanted to show me something here because it's a huge amount to talk about biodiversity, but there's something happening out in this field.
Yeah.
We'll make our way out.
So I suppose
if Mike can follow us,
yeah.
Mike, you can.
Here's the cap.
The cap trick, right?
Cap trick. I won't let go, honestly.
That'd be a viral image, wouldn't it? Jesus. All right, Mike, you're all right? Okay. Right, so we're talking about biodiversity here then, Bruce. Jesus, it is still wet, isn't it?
Oh, it is still wet, yes.
Yeah.
We'll get up onto a hill. Yeah, so look, we're a different generation now. Our one is a transition one, and responsibilities on us to make sure that biodiversity is protected.
Okay.
And works within the businesses we have. We can't,
because you need to be profitable. I mean, it's great. Like you can plant, and that's a very important.
You can't let emotion get in the way of business either.
Yeah.
You know, because one has to work with the other, or one will fail without the other.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's part of sustainability, is economic sustainability, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with having a profitable business. And I think, you know what I mean?
It's nearly a badge of shame at the moment.
Well, it seems to, in everything except
making money out of the countryside.
But I mean, it's a real sign of success, profitability. I mean, I think what you're saying about you may be an exception in your leadership, but I think it gives great vision. You know, putting money back into playgrounds, sponsoring, because dairy businesses or farming businesses can be big businesses, but putting that money back into communities is really important. But there's nothing wrong with profitability. So talk to me about then a new generation and profitability and biodiversity. How do they all fit together?
Yeah, well, look, I suppose changing landscape. We know things now that we didn't know maybe 30 years ago. My grandfather bought land here. It was in 8 fields.
Okay.
And got in a D4 and made 1 field.
Yeah.
Out of the whole lot, that's a bulldozer.
That was progress, yeah.
And he was hailed in the community.
I was going to pretend like I knew what that was.
Yeah.
D4, yeah.
You're old enough.
I thought it was someone who lived in the middle of Dublin.
But now if you did that, you would definitely not be hailed in the community for doing it. And rightly so, because my grandfather's thought process then was that there was plenty of room for nature in the countryside.
Yeah,
it wasn't doing any harm. You know, the birds that were in this hedge would go on to some other hedge.
Yeah.
So now we're seeing, there's biodiversity collapse to an extent, but it is definitely lowering. We're definitely seeing less
bird species, wildlife,
all that. So, we have to be able to integrate that into our farm plan, that we complement biodiversity.
So where are you actually taking me now?
Taking me to see some of these trees.
Okay, so I've passed a few trees that are just kind of standing here on their own.
Yeah. My dad loves these, by the way. He does.
He's very confused, is he?
Oh, he hates them. Yeah.
Right. Okay, so you've some.
This is one he didn't knock with the tractor.
Right.
So if you look here, we're in a line this way.
Okay. So
this line here is exactly the half way point of the field.
Okay.
So and they're 30 meters apart.
Okay.
So it negates GPS on a tractor.
Okay.
So you just hop in and you drive from one to the other with your fertilizer spreader.
Okay, so it's not going to affect your tractor.
It's not going to affect
the tractor. So
the
there's a lot of talk gone into this.
There is, yeah.
It's the engineering brain again.
We don't need a GPS on the tractor to spread fertilizer.
Okay.
Or to mow fields. That's an oak tree.
Okay.
And
so these you don't need GPS because of the layout of this.
Yes.
You're using sort of a navigation system with the trees.
Yeah.
Okay.
So these spikes then protect the tree. I trialled them out last year. Have a full year down now, and not one of them has been touched, with 300 cows wandering around them.
Okay.
So they leave the trees alone. Now I'll never see that tree mature, but someone will. Yeah.
Okay. And is that sort of foresight and vision that is what we kind of need to be thinking about?
Yeah, well, sure, look, isn't it a Japanese saying that true society is where men plant trees that they'll never sit under the shade of. So
I like it. Love a bit of Japanese philosophy. Give us that one again, Bruce. There's a little snippet for the.
Society,
There's a little snippet for the. So what the fuck are these guys?
Do I look at the camera when I'm saying it now?
No, but it's a really good point. Yeah, because it's that because we live in a society, and we're all guilty of it, of living for the here and now, where we're chasing the high now, the quick gratification, with no long-term thinking. That is sustainability. Give it to me one more time, there. I like that.
True society is where men plant trees they'll never sit under the shade of. So, when you think about it, think about our ancestors, and like even the likes of my dad and my grandfather. If I look back on their career and what their achievements were, it wasn't getting 90% submission rate for 3 weeks.
Yeah. 500.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You're not going to be. There's a dog looking for a bit of attention.
Yeah.
It's going to be what they've done to the landscape.
Yeah.
Really. It's the physical stuff you're going to see.
Okay.
That's going to stick in your mind.
And this is just part of. Where did you see this? Where did you learn this kind of stuff? Where did you come
picked
across?
these up in the UK. I brought them in from the UK.
Okay. So you saw this been done on another farm in the UK?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and look, it means I can plant a tree anywhere on the farm.
Okay.
And not worry about it.
Okay. And that's something you've actively started doing. So from an incentive perspective, this is, again, profitability. You have a big team, you have family, you have mortgages, you have everything. Investments like this, how well supported are they from a... No, they're not.
No, it's all self.
So it's a self-build, it's a Bruce Thompson, sleep better at night, it's the vision piece there. Is it something... Is tree planting, is there enough incentives in farming? Are we smart enough about our incentives? Is that a good question? Now, are we smart enough about our incentives at the moment in farming? Do we need to be better? Is that what we should be doing, or is the allocation of funds? We're going this way here.
The allocation of funds is wrong. Like it, it's all stacked in favour of pillar one.
Okay, explain. Yeah, so
I'm not going to explain that. Yeah. Due to that bit, but it's all historic-based payments.
Okay.
Not all, but the majority of it is.
Because
I'm going back. When I started farming, we had just gotten 3 reference years.
Yeah. Okay. We better slow down. Mike's going to definitely trip here.
Yeah. We got 3 reference years.
Okay.
And that has dictated what the landscape. The payments for the landscape that were being received now has come from, which is completely wrong, in my view.
Okay.
We need to push more into results-based stuff.
Okay.
It's public money.
Yeah.
We have to remember that. We call them entitlements, which really really icks me when we call them entitlements.
Okay.
Because we're not entitled to them.
Okay.
Why should we be?
Okay.
We should be getting something back.
The argument is that you are providing cheap.
We are
safe food for an economy, for a society, which is, to me, we said it in one of the other videos, that it's kind of it's the basis for law and order and for society's function.
That's one product we're supplying. The other one is nature.
Okay.
And habitat. Nature and habitat is the other product.
And farming and nature and habitat can coexist.
They can, of course, yeah. But
profitability.
Profitability. But you have to. I'm adamant you have to monetize that capital, natural capital.
So if you don't explain to me that monetizing natural capital.
We're in a capitalist economy,
and I like that myself.
Which is the least worst social economic system.
Yeah. It has its flaws.
It has its flaws, but it's the least worst one.
Okay.
So, for anything to work in a capitalist, it has to be monetized.
Yeah. Okay.
So you're going to have to, if you want to protect nature, we have to monetize it.
Okay.
So we should be putting a value onto any of these items. So they don't have to be farmers, landowners. Any landowner that has a certain percentage of nature should be definitely paid for.
But is it hard to put a value on biodiversity?
It is, because it's so immeasurable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But a planting of a tree seems like a measurable metric. Yeah.
Let's say tree. Yeah.
So you plant 500 trees on the farm.
Yeah.
In a system, you're not going to lose much ground. What difference is it going to make to biodiversity? That much, is it again? Maybe it's out of naivety. I'm asking you this. I like it. But is it enough?
It's not. Not on its own, that isn't.
No.
Like you have to, there's a whole, like there's a hedgerow, we haven't touched that. That used to be a lovely box hedge.
Okay.
I say lovely because that's
Because
what we
it
used to
was
think
clean.
was lovely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Square. But now it's left to grow. We just touch the sides of it every couple of years, every few years with the hedge cutter just to keep it touched back.
Is that a kind of a generational thing we have to accept as well? That you know, and if I go back even from where I'm from in Kerry 30 years ago, the leading farmers, farms were pruned and perfect.
Yeah.
And that was an acceptable status quo at the time.
Yeah.
So then you have to change your mindset around the whole way a farm is laid out, and it's actually letting nature take a little bit of control back of your farm.
Yeah. It is a change in mindset. It is difficult, but you know, we know now that the importance of letting that get to that state.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, you go back 10, 15, 20 years ago, it was a bad farmer.
Yeah, it was a messy.
It was messy. Yeah.
Shouldn't have got the farm.
Shouldn't have got the farm. Yeah, his older brother deserved it. But you know, that's the way. You know, we have to change our mindset on it.
So we're going to talk about parasites and dung beetles, and you've led in that space. So you're actively involved with discussion groups, and you know, I think there's a couple of ways of making change. One of it comes from the ground up, which is incredibly powerful. One is through legislation, where people have to, which you have to change. Do you feel, you know, being part of discussion groups and meeting other dairy farmers, because granted me to be talking about this kind of stuff, is the penny dropping? Is there realisation? Is there a change occurring?
Yeah, it is. But you know, it takes a while for these things to get momentum. But definitely, even within discussion groups now, the talk is there about tree planting, and it's there about hedgerow management, and it's there about biodiversity, pond making. You know, whereas if you go onto social media 7 or 8 years ago, farmers were comparing co-op performance reports. Now they're comparing who's the biggest pond. So
I was going to say that.
Yeah. Easy now.
Just those calves there, Bruce. I was talking to obviously Nick about microbes. You said to me that, you know, I was asking about weights. It was, you know, the bulls were gone before they were sold, before you could do any weight comparisons.
Yeah.
But the heifers, what was your own experience with the microbes and heifers?
So we have a sick bay on the farm.
Yeah.
That we'd pull out calves if there's any sick calves. They're going to sick bay and they're looked after in there. We never had any heifers in it. Okay. And at one stage there was 8 calves in it. None of those calves had gotten microbes.
Okay. And were they scour, bits of pneumonia, little bits and pieces?
It wasn't pneumonia now. It was a very good year now with pneumonia.
Okay.
But no, there was a bit of scour.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, a bit of dehydration.
Okay. So generally you don't have sick calves, but the heifers went on, and management was the same in both groups.
Correct. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. So there's something else was different.
Okay. So we're heading back now to look at dung beetles. This is like if we were like if there was like a cooking show, you'd pull 17 dung beetles out of your ass pocket and put them into the dung.
Yeah.
This is the nature of.
This has happened so many times.
What is that now?
That's them. Yeah.
Okay.
That's Fimitarius. There's 2 of them there.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And now this is a very different species.
We're disturbing the 2 of them now. We're having a bit of fun.
Okay. Mating season. I haven't seen that species of dung beetle before. Is that something that I'm not looking, or is this something unique to you?
I'd say so, because I hear farmers saying they've no dung beetles on the farm. Every farm has dung beetles on it.
Okay.
They're all there.
Okay.
But the abundance of them is the problem.
Okay.
So what these guys do is they don't actually eat the dung pat; they drink it.
Okay.
So they're looking for the nutrients in the liquid.
So they're drying it out, are they?
Drying it out, and as you know, parasite eggs.
Yeah.
They require moisture, and they swim out of the dung pat.
Okay.
And to get onto the grass.
Okay.
So by drying it out, they're hampering their ability to do that.
So that's what these guys do.
That's what they do, and then by doing that, if you've got a spade now, I think Kevin pointed out there on your last recording.
Yeah.
Underneath that dung pat is full of earthworms.
Okay.
But the earthworms won't touch a fresh dung pat.
Yeah.
Because it tastes like shit.
Okay. Right.
So the dung beetles do is they dry it out and they make it more attractive for the earthworms, and they ultimately pull it into the soil.
Okay.
Along with the parasite eggs.
Okay. And tell me,
you know, you're never going to get rid of all the parasites in one foul swoop.
but you're harnessing biology and biological processes.
You're interrupting their actual movement out onto pasture.
It's interesting. So I've been in this space for the last 3 years with the microbes. We're a commercial company, but we're bringing a kind of concept of biology to farming. And I've had some eyebrows raised early on. Some people saying to me, God Almighty, what are you doing now? This idea that we're nature working with nature. You're harnessing nature and biology here in the farm.
Yeah. So I suppose the point to make now is the wormers we're using in the animals.
Yeah.
Actually are a major disruptor to their
these guys
reproductive system.
Okay.
Particularly the clear wormers, so your ivermectins and your bimectins, those macrocyclic lactones,
Yeah.
ivermectin based products.
Yeah.
They can be toxic to them, but their biggest effect is that they hamper their reproductive system. So
your extinction basically, really, when that happens.
And you think it's just one little event that had happened, but that product is still coming out toxic out the back end of an animal.
Okay.
28 days after it was administered.
In the dung.
In the dung. And that dung part is sitting there, and it's still 28 days from that point is still hampering the reproductive system of the animal, of the dung beetle. So 56 days after you've used it, it's still doing damage. So if you're on a system where you're going every 6-8 weeks with a wormer, you're never giving them a chance at all to populate.
Okay, they're popping out of everywhere here now.
Yeah, they're starting to come up now.
Starting to come up there now. Yeah. So how many species of dung beetles do you actually have on the farm then?
I don't really know, because to actually get down to proper, we would have to send them off to an entomologist in the UK to get them, because the difference could be a little line on their bum between one species and another. There's just over 40 species in Ireland.
Okay.
There's 2 different types. There's the dwellers and the tunnelers. The dwellers live in the dung pat and lay their eggs either on or just under it. Mm-hmm. And the tunnelers actually bore into the soil and they pull it down into the ground. What I saw in my studies was where they introduced them tunnelers into South Australia and Tasmania.
Making a difference?
Huge difference. I was on a pasture, very same as this, perennial ryegrass, conventional type of system.
Yeah.
200 cow herds. 3 days after the animals were on a pasture, there was no dung pats left on it. They were just all buried into the soil, so the parasites didn't stand a chance.
Okay.
Now, they were bringing them in for different reasons.
Yeah.
But in my view, that would have been a huge goal achieved.
Absolutely massive. It's so interesting, Bruce. And I mean, look, as I said, I think I've said a few times, leadership from the ground up, and that's where we're starting. So you've changed people's mindsets on parasite control. It's really interesting. The only constant in life, Bruce, we're doing a bit of Japanese philosophy, is change, okay? So here's the topless cubicles you had with a roof on them. Another change you've made on the farm. So look, massive thank you for having myself and Mike out on the farm. It's a great chat. I think your attitude towards farming and life in general, a mixture of Japanese philosophy, change, nature, you're embracing it all, and the reality that farms need to be profitable. Let's talk about, and I think you kind of touched on it, the future of farming maybe. I think you're going to continue to innovate here and be interested, but you are interested in the future of farming in Ireland as well. And one of the things you said to me that's kind of been very apparent is this social license piece.
Yeah.
So I suppose explain to farmers, and when you're talking about social license, what are you actually even saying?
Yeah. So look, I think our biggest there's 2 big hurdles we're going to have to jump over the next medium term is succession and social license.
Okay.
They're the 2 biggest threats to the industry. So social license, look, if you go back maybe 20, 30 years ago, everyone around us in our locality was no further than 20 foot away from a cow shit. But now there's people living around us that have absolutely nothing to do with agriculture at all. And we're an annoyance to them. Could be an annoyance to them. If you see something negatively passing by your gate every day, every time it goes by, it's going to weigh in on you. So we have to be seen to pass by that gate in a positive light. So your milk lorry, someone spreading slurry, cows on the road, this sort of thing. We can't be turning back in the public and taking it for granted that they're happy about us being there.
Would equally farmers might say that, Bruce, the public is taking farmers for granted?
There is a bit of that, but who's going to take that by the reins and make sure that that isn't continuing forward? And I think it ultimately is going to affect us before it'll affect anyone else. Okay. So we need to take a bit of leadership in that and change that
and does
mindset.
That come from the ground up, Bruce, or does it come from at a big more national level?
It comes at a national level. Yeah. Look, everyone can do their bit. If you're holding people up at a road when animals are passing, don't turn your back to them. Have a chat with them, see how they're getting on. Yeah. But someone needs to hold farmers by the hand and bring the industry forward in terms of our engagement with community. The people in the community need to see directly what they're getting back from agriculture. So just passing by a gate and looking down and seeing animals in a field is not going to be enough. They need to see what they're getting for
and the complexity of it, maybe that it's not beautiful and it's not like a postcard.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We had school kids out here last week, and we were explaining to them that that not everything looks or smells very nice on a farm. So you have to learn why it's like that. It's not butterflies rising up out of a meadow every day. You can hear the birds tweeting away there now today, but there'll be another day that wouldn't be happening. But we have to be able to, I suppose, what we're saying here, that they're getting something back from agriculture.
Is it just a connection?
It is a connection, yeah, it is, because indirectly they're getting something.
Yeah.
The opposite is the food. Yeah, but we're singing that, no farmers, no food. That annoys me.
Okay, yeah.
But
you're not the first farmer to say that to me.
Yeah, we can't be, bandying that wagon either, because everyone can claim that about their job, that their product isn't there if they're not there. Of course, it's not there. But we need to say why what we're doing is that bit, more necessary. So you have our part in the community. Lorry driver comes in, I was saying, he passes by centre, picks up his breakfast roll. The person that made that breakfast roll, they're getting their income from that transaction, and that's all in a circular economy. So it's not to say every part of that circle is important. We're not more important than the other.
Okay.
But it's to state what's actually happening here. And there are a small percentage, very small percentage of very loud people that are painting it in a very wrong light. Our industry. So we need to paint the picture.
And I think you need to focus on the silent majority. Someone said that to me once. Don't ever forget the silent majority.
Silent majority, that's correct, yeah. And it's easier to paint a picture than it is to change it.
Okay.
Which, when I was in school, we'd have more soup, we'd milk delivered every day, we had bones and bones. Need calcium. All that stuff was going on. There's none of that now.
Well, you obviously aren't on Instagram following all the fitness influencers now, because they're all talking about milk and meat again and animal protein. So I think, and I like human nutrition. And I think there's a huge place for animal protein in general. How we produce it's important. The type of leadership we've seen here this morning, and I'll give you a big head. It's good we're in a big shed. Is what we need, and it comes. I think we were digging our hands around and shit. Leadership comes from the ground up. And I think you're doing a super job there. I think, look, it's a really interesting perspective to talk about that social license, the integration of farming into communities. Without that type of thinking, nothing moves forward. Yeah. So I think you should be commended for that. And it's been a real pleasure. I hope and I know you will. You'll keep innovating here in the farm. You'll keep leading on as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, that's it from County Laois with Bruce Thompson. I'm going to have to tell him his scale seems to be reading 5 kilos over than it should do. A great morning with Bruce. Look, a leader in agriculture. I've got quite friendly with Bruce over the years, but he's leading by doing. And look, he wears his heart on his sleeve. He's farming here. He's trying to innovate. He's focused on team. I was comparing him to a Navy SEAL in the car. He's good fun as well. So that's another episode of What's the Story. Join us for episode 5, where I better have a word with him about the scales. We're actually out here on a farm in County Carlow with ABP. It's a demo farm, a demonstration farm. We're going to meet with Stephen Connolly, the Sustainability Manager, and some of the team from ABP, where we learn a little bit about what they're doing here on farm in the dairy to beef side of things, how they're rearing calves, why they have a demo farm and why it's important to their customers, and a little look into the future as well.
And I think, look, us as we export 90% of our beef, we need to be there on the forefront of that, to ensure that they purchase Irish beef over some of our competitors.